right? So tell me, children, what was the answer that you got for question 1A? So now there are children who did the homework. So can I know what the answers you got are for question 1A? So you're saying yes. So I have question answers from Tharuli Dua and Dua, Onelli, Netmi. They're all giving me the same answer. Very good. Yes. So children, your answer is correct. The first question answer is A, part 1 is 13.74, right, is the answer. Okay, I think it was to 2 decimal places that they wanted it. Right, children, if there is anyone...
Teacher?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's a new student. Shall we do that and show that?
Yes, definitely. Let's do that.
It's better.
So this question, children, was a trigonometric question where you had to find the side length of this triangle, right? So we learned about the 3 trigonometric functions, sine, cos, and tan, right? And for this one, we have to use the tan ratio because this is the opposite side. So we named the sides, children. This was the opposite, this was the adjacent, and this was the hypotenuse, right? So in this case, we are working with the opposite and the adjacent. The opposite is x and the adjacent is 5. So we have to use the tan ratio, which is tan theta is equal to opposite over adjacent, children, right? So once you substitute your values, so we substitute tan 70 here. For the opposite, we substitute x and the adjacent is 5, right? So you multiply everything by 5, you get 5 tan 70 degrees. So now you can enter this into your calculators and it will give you the answer. If you round that answer to 2 decimal places, you will get 13.74. So the Dua who is joining us today, have you done the trigonometry lesson before, Dua?
No, sir.
This is the first time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So we might have to show her the 3 trigonometric functions, isn't it, Dilana teacher?
Yeah, and then the Sokatoa, just explain her.
I'll just give her a
Do
review.
a,
Yeah. So Dua, very quickly, so this might be good for everyone here actually, right? So when you have a trigonometric, when you have a right angle triangle, right? In this right angle triangle, we take one angle as the angle in focus, and from that angle, the opposite side is called the opposite, and the adjacent side is the adjacent. So adjacent meaning with the angle, right? The side with the angle is called the adjacent, and this other side, the longest side, which is always opposite the right angle, is called the hypotenuse, right? This is how
so
we...
Sandhu teacher,
Yeah.
hypotenuse won't change, no?
Hypotenuse.
Hypotenuse won't change.
That's correct. That's correct. So children, for example, if you take this as the angle in focus, then this will be the opposite and this will be the adjacent. But the hypotenuse stays the same, right? And there are 3 trigonometric ratios. So there is a, so I'll write the 3 first. So we have sine theta, which is opposite over hypotenuse. Then we have cos theta, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, right? And we have tan theta, which is opposite over adjacent. So there is a nice a mnemonic, I think you call it, to remember this. So this is SOH, so CAH, ka, TOA, TOA, right? So you can remember it using this word here, so ka TOA. So means sine is opposite over hypotenuse, ka means cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, and TOA is tan is opposite over adjacent.
Adjacent.
All right. So that's a very rough overview of it, Dua. So I hope that did you understand this, Dua, so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So follow along. If there's anything that you don't get, please ask and we will explain it. All right. Okay. So with that, children, let's So if there's anyone, including this dua as well, if there's anyone who hasn't already taken this down, so you have the chance to take this down, right? So in the meantime, while you take it down, kids, what's the answer to part 2? A part 2. Yes. Okay. All right. Interesting. Right. Okay. So children, most of you have sent me the right answer, right? Yes, so for this one, you should use cos and dua. That is correct, right? And the answer is 8.55 to 2 decimal places. That is correct, right? So most of you sent me the right answer. One dua sent me a different answer, so dua just check your answer, right, and see whether you've done that correctly, right? But yes, most of you have got that right. Okay. Then let me resize this.
I got the note.
Okay, okay, all right. I'll get rid of this then. Right, so children, part B, B1, what's the answer? So this time you have to find the angle, right?
Sanu teacher, shall
Right.
we give one to explain that?
Oh, yes.
If anyone likes, yeah, if anyone likes to come up and explain us a homework question to give the answer.
So far I have two answers, both of them are correct. Yes. Okay. Yes. All your answers are correct. Very good, children. Anyone wants to explain this to us? We have a new student, so she also can learn how to find the angle. Okay. So looks like these children are still shy. It'll take them a minute or two to get warmed up. Right. So children, your answers are correct. Right. So in part B, you have to find the angle. For the first one, the angle to 2 decimal places is 48.59 degrees. Right. Yes. And why did you skip the two questions? Do you want me to explain it? Part B. Okay, she wants me to explain it. I will quickly go over this. Now, since I already gave the answer for part B1, I'll explain part B2, right? So children, no, actually I'll explain part B1, right? So this is part B1. You have to find this angle theta, hypotenuse is 2, and opposite is 1.5. So, and now this involves the opposite and the hypotenuse, right? So what trigonometric ratio do you use when you have the opposite and the hypotenuse? It's sine, isn't it? Right? So you take sine theta equals to opposite over hypotenuse, right? So sine theta, theta is what we don't know, opposite is 1.5 over hypotenuse is 2. Right, and for the new doer who is here with us as well, so this is a good opportunity for you to have a look at how to find angles as well, right? So when you want to find theta, you use inverse sine, right? You take sine inverse 1.5 over 2. Am I right? And so once you just have to enter this into your calculator and you will get this answer, 48.59 to 2 decimal places.
Yeah, Sanu teacher will say about sine inverse as well. They
Okay.
have to take from the calculator shift and sine.
Yes. Yes. So children, I'll just quickly show you that as well. So you have your three functions here, sine, cos, and tan, right? So when you can see in yellow, on top you have the sine to the power -1, that is sine inverse, cos inverse, and tan inverse, right? So to get that, you have to press shift and then you have to press sine. Okay, so you press shift and you press sine and you get sine inverse on your calculator display, right? So that is how you get that. Okay, so I think Andua got that now. Okay, children, what about part B2? What is the answer? Okay, I only have to ask the answer. These children are already sending it. Okay, So Senoli, though your answer is correct, though Oneli also sent me the answer. Very good. So this is an easy one, right? So children, it is 45. That is correct. So remember, children, in a right angle triangle where the opposite and the adjacent are equal in length, the angle will always be 45, right? So that's always true, right? So that is 45 degrees. Okay, very good, children. Right, so children, we're done with question one. Is if there's anyone who likes me to explain any of the questions from question one, please let me know. Right, with that, let's go to question two. Now question two, Dilani teacher, is a bearings question. So I'm curious to see
Okay.
how our children did this one. So children, can I have your answers to part A? Okay, so immediately Sanulid sent her answer. Okay, there's one though who wants me to explain question two, though I will explain question two. Okay, so Senuli and Alanki both says 31 degrees. I have two requests to explain this question, so I will definitely do it. What about the others? I want to see your answers.
Yeah, I think everyone
Yeah.
is asking, no,
Okay.
Sandhu teacher, because
Right.
it's a new thing for them.
Yes. Dylan teacher, I also have a
That's
few
the
requests to explain question one, A and B. Uh, so shall I
we'll do
quickly
that, Sandhu
yeah,
teacher.
I'll
Yes,
quickly show
it's
them that.
better.
Right. So children,
Yes.
I'll for the children who want question one, I'll quickly explain that again. Right. I'll explain one from part A and one from part B. Okay. So from part A, I think he was asking for part A two. Yes, part A two. So Puta, this angle is 35. This is 7 and this is y. Now what we don't know here is the hypotenuse. Okay.
Sandhu teacher, mark
Yeah.
the 90 because there are new.
Yes, sorry, I forgot that.
Yes. Otherwise, they
Right.
will think that
Yes.
it's an okay.
Children, it has to be a right angle triangle, right?
Right angle.
Okay. So now in this case, we're working with the adjacent and the hypotenuse, right? So this is part A, question one, part A2. Okay, question one, part A2. We're working with the adjacent and the hypotenuse. When we have adjacent and hypotenuse, the trigonometric ratio is cos, right? So cos theta, we know, is adjacent over hypotenuse, children. So cos 35 is 7 over y. Okay. Then what do? You multiply by y. So y cos 35 degrees is equal to 7. Right. And now you divide by cos 35. You get y equals to 7 over cos 35. So now you can enter this into your calculator and your calculator will give you the answer. So this answer is, what is this part A2? 8.55, right? That's the length. Okay. 8.55, that is the answer. So the Puta who asked me for this one, is it clear?
How about the new dua? We'll ask the new children also whether they understood.
Yeah, and I also have another. So Vishal Putra said that he made a mistake because he divided with 7 cos 35. So make sure you take your fractions
Oh,
correctly, children. Right? Be careful. Sometimes the sign or the cos will be in the top. Sometimes it will be in the denominator. Right? So you have to take it carefully, children. Right? Okay. So Vishal Putra, do you still want me to explain part B? I think it was you who asked for part B, right?
No, sir.
Okay. No need, no? All right. So then we'll go to question 2 because I had a lot of requests for question 2. Right. So children, let's read question 2 together first. It says an aeroplane is 138 kilometers due south from a military air base. The drop-off point for its cargo is 83 kilometers due west from the air base. Find the three-figure bearing correct to the nearest degree of part A, the aeroplane from the drop-off point, and part B, the drop-off point from the aeroplane. Alright, so let's have a look. First, children, for this kind of question, you need to draw a diagram. That is an absolute must. Okay, so let's draw a diagram. So children, the question says, An aeroplane is 138 kilometers due south from a military air base. That means, children, if this is the military base, if this is the base, the aeroplane is somewhere here, right? Directly south. And it is 138 kilometers south.
Sunil
Okay.
teacher mark the north.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, in
Children,
the
upwards direction is north.
north.
Okay, right? And it also says the drop off point for its cargo. Now it's carrying some cargo, right? The drop off point for the cargo is 83 kilometers west from the airbase. So due west means, children, directly west, right? From the airbase. So that means from the airbase, 83 kilometers. This is the drop off point. That's the drop off point, children, right? Now, children, before we get to the question, tell me whether my diagram is correct. Can you all agree with my diagram? If there's anyone who doesn't agree with my diagram, can I know? Is it clear? Children, I want to know whether the diagram is clear. Please let me know. Right, so Andu agrees with
And
the diagram.
yeah, and also children, when they give the main directions and subdirections, you have to know the angles, right? They will not give the bearing as degrees.
That's correct. So in other words, with what Dilan teacher is just saying here is that this is a right angle.
Yes,
Right? So if it's south and west, that means this is going to be a right angle, children.
right angle.
Okay. Now, children, let's get to the question. They're saying find the three-figure bearing correct to the nearest degree of the aeroplane from the drop-off point. So that means, children, we are going to be standing at the drop-off point and we are going to look at the aeroplane, right? So that means something like this, right? We're going to stand here, first facing north. You know how to check bearings. How do you check bearings? You stand at that point,
Yes.
you face north, and you turn clockwise until you look at the direction you want, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to stand here and we're going to turn clockwise until we are facing the aeroplane. So this is the angle that they're asking. Can you see the arrow that I have drawn is the angle that they're asking, children, right?
Okay.
Now, children, this angle is what we need to find because clearly this is a right angle. That's a right angle. So we need to find the small angle here. You add that to 90 and we will have our bearing of the aeroplane from the drop-off point, right? So how can we find this angle? Children, you can clearly see this right angle triangle. Can you see this right angle triangle? You know the opposite 138 and the adjacent 83. So what is opposite to adjacent, children? Tan theta. Tan theta is opposite to adjacent. So what will we do? We'll take tan theta is equal to 138 over 83. So theta is going to be equal to tan inverse 138 over 83, children. Now, children, all of you do this and tell me what you get, right? Let me also do it. 138 over 83, right? So I want you all to check with your calculators, right? Don't just take my word for it. So I get 58 point, I'll just take it to 2 decimal places, will you? Right? Yes, 58.98. Very good. Very good, children. Right? So that means this angle is 58.98, isn't it? Now, how do you find the bearing? You add this to 90. 90 plus 58.98. What do you get? You get 148.98. Okay. So, children, the question is asking for to the nearest degree, right? So, to the nearest degree, the answer will be 149 degrees. This is the answer. The bearing of the aeroplane from the drop-off point is going to be 149 degrees. Got it? Children, if anyone got this answer, got the correct answer, can you raise your hands? When you tried it at home, if anyone got this correct answer, Alankidu got this answer. Very good, very good, very good. Right? So she has
Only
carefully.
Only Alankitu? What about the others? At least some part, the diagram correct?
That's the thing. The
What
diagram
is,
is
yeah,
important.
the
Oh,
diagram is
we have
there.
5 kids. Ah, brilliant, children.
Wow,
Very good. Very
very
good.
good.
Right? So you all got 149 degrees. That means, children, you all have drawn a nice diagram. Children, the key to a question is always a proper neat diagram. With a neat
Yes.
diagram, you can easily do a question. So can you see how clear my diagram is? Now you can easily see what you're looking for. Right? Right. So Vishal says he got it with the same help for the diagram. Okay. Right. So once you have a proper diagram, the question becomes very easy, children. Right. Okay. Put your hands down, children. Right. So the next question, part B, is the drop-off point from the aeroplane. So now you're standing at the aeroplane. Right. So now we're standing at the aeroplane looking north, right? And you have to face the drop-off point. But children, you can't turn anti-clockwise. You have to turn clockwise. So you turn clockwise until you see the aeroplane, and that is this angle, right? So now this becomes very easy, children. Why? Because we already found this angle. We just have to find this angle. You can easily find that with angles in a triangle. Am I right? You can use angles in a triangle to find this green angle that I have marked, right? So we know that this is 58.98, right? So when I subtract it, I get 31.02, right? Children, you all try it and see, right? So from angles in a triangle, you all can get this. And then you know that the big yellow reflex angle plus this green angle should total 360. So from 360, if I subtract 31.02, right, I get 328.98. To 1 degree, it is 329 degrees. That is the bearing of the drop-off point from the aeroplane. Who got this one right?
Sadhun teacher,
Yes.
just ask and see whether they have done the tan way as well without
Yes.
doing that tan.
Yeah. So
Anyone
children,
who has done like that?
Children, you all can get this green angle, the 31.02, by using tan inverse 83 over 138 as well, right? Because
Yeah.
tan
So
of this green
anyone?
angle is going to be opposite to adjacent. Is there someone who did it that way? Children.
No one, no?
Who got
Okay.
this right, children? Who got this question right, part B? Raise your hands and show. Okay. So
3.
children, did all of you do it this same method that I did, or did you all use tan inverse as well?
4, 5.
So I think the same children who
Same
got
method.
question A right. Okay, so they say that they did the same method. Yes. So
That's
children,
very
of
good,
course,
children.
yes.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Right. Very good. So excellent work, children. Right. So I hope this is clear to anyone. Does anyone want to ask me any questions about this one? Question 2. Any questions about question 2? Let me know.
And those who have not done the homework, they can take it down.
Yes. Take a screenshot, children. Right.
Yeah.
Take a screenshot so we can move on. Right. Okay. Then children, what about question? Thoroughly says I just used tan method and checked, and so you should get the same answer though. Yes, of course. Right? You should get, if you get a different answer, then there's something wrong. Right? It should be the same answer. Right? Good. It's
Yeah,
good that
but don't do that in the exams, okay?
Hmm.
Because it's time consuming.
Yeah. Always choose the fastest method.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so then children, question 3. What is the answer you all got for question 3? Okay, so let me sends me her answer and also sends her answer. All right, very interesting. So these two are two different answers. Okay, right. Senalidu 1 dp. Yes, not 2. Yes, correct. Okay. So children, uh, this one also I will explain, right? Yes, yes, Andu, I will explain this question as well, right? So if you, I'll take a new page. Yeah, so let me quickly draw this diagram as well, right? So we have two mountains. So I'm not an artist, so please excuse my drawing, children, right? So we have two mountains, and from this summit to this summit, right? Yes, so that's pretty much it, right? So this angle of depression is 15.9 degrees, and this height is 430 meters, right? So the question is, what is the distance between the two summits, horizontal distance between the two summits? So that means, children, they are asking for this distance here, right? We'll call it x. So children, how do we get it? It's a right angle triangle. The angle in focus is 15.9. The opposite side is 430. The adjacent side is x. So what uses opposite over adjacent, children? Opposite over adjacent is what? Tan. And though it should be tan, right? Because sine is opposite over hypotenuse, right? So it should be, children, I'll give you all a good tip. When I was in school, this is something that I learned, that I did, right? Take these difficult formulas down and put it up on your wall in your bedroom. Then daily you see it, right? I remember when I was doing O levels, I did 4 subjects and my room had 4 walls. So I divided each wall per each subject and I put up formulas, right? So if you have formulas that you need to memorize, for example, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, tan is opposite over adjacent, put this on the wall, right? It really works. Now I did
Yes.
A levels, I think almost 9 years ago. So from my A levels, there are equations I haven't used up to this date, but I still remember them, right? So
That's
try
very
that
true.
method, children, right?
And make
Yes,
it colorful, darling. When
yes,
you make it colorful, it goes to your head.
goes to your
You
head.
know, Sanu teacher, even the chemistry, the periodic table, I did the same way.
Ah,
Which
yes,
wasn't going
yes,
to my head. Yes, yes.
right. So that it's, I think it's a great method to memorize because
Yes.
it really worked for me, right? So children, if
That's
there
true.
is a,
That's true.
yeah.
Not only you, everyone, if you all try that, that's a very good way of memorizing.
So Netmi says she did it too. Very good, though.
She is.
Right? Very good. So children, now remember, tan is the one that uses opposite over adjacent, right? Opposite over adjacent. So tan 15.9 is going to be 430 is opposite and the adjacent is x. Am I right, Andu? Okay. So you need to make x the subject. So we'll take it to the other side, multiply it with tan is equal to 430. X is 430 divided by tan 15.9. And do take your calculator and enter this and tell me the answer you get. Check what you get. Right? 430 over tan 15.9. See what you get though. So when I tried it, I got 1509.526 and so on. Right? So the question is asking to one decimal place. So this is going to be 0.5 meters. Right? And did you get the same answer? Yes. Good. So did you understand how to do it now? Okay, very good. What about the others, children? So those who didn't do this and didn't get the right answer, is it clear to you now? Okay, I hope it's clear. The children are very silent. Right. Okay. Children, let's go to question 5. Sorry, question 4. Right, the last one. Now, so we have 4 parts A, B, C, D. Right. So children, were you all able to do part A? It says, so this is a show that question. Show that this angle is 90 degrees. Did you all get it? So Dylan teacher, I was thinking maybe I'll show this question. What do you think?
Yes.
Children, is there anyone who wants me to explain question 4? Children? Yes. Okay. Right. So I have a lot of requests to explain this one. So I will, children. I will explain it. Right. Okay. Right. So children, just give me a second to draw this diagram. So children, the arrows show north, right? I'm not going to mark an N here because it will just take too much space, right? This distance is 10 kilometers. This is D. This is E. And okay. This is C. This is B. 30 degrees. 300 degrees. Oh, yes. This is W. D and 70. Right. Okay. So this is the diagram. Right. So children, part A is saying show that. Now, first of all, let's read the question. Right. It says 2 ships are carrying divers who are going to investigate an ancient wreck. Okay. So this W is the shipwreck. Okay. The ship Explorer, marked by E, so you can see it up there, is on a bearing of 30 degrees from the wreck. So you can see from the wreck, when you look at Explorer, it is at 30 degrees of bearing. So that is true. And the ship Discovery, D, is on a bearing of 300 degrees from the wreck. Okay. So then it says the bearing of Explorer from Discovery is 70 degrees. So that also you can see is true. Find the distance between, and the distance between the ships is 10 kilometers. So we have marked that as well, right? So Nimtaka gives me how he got his answer. He subtracts 30 from 300, which gives you 270. Then subtract 270 from 360, which will give you the value of the, yes, Puta, that is the correct way to do it, right? So children, part A says show that the angle DWE is 90 degrees. So how can we show that? So one thing we can do, children, is you can see that we have this angle here, right? This angle. This is the rest of, now imagine this full circle is like a pizza, right? If you take that red angle out as a slice of pizza, the rest is 300. Can you see? That big angle is marked as 300, right? See, this is 300 degrees. So that means, children, from 360, you take away 300, how much will you have left? 60 degrees, right? You will have 60 degrees left. So that means, children, this is 60 degrees, right? So, children, what is 60 plus 30? 60 plus 30 is 90 degrees, right? So, children, 90 degrees That's what they have asked. Show that angle DW is 90 degrees. Right? So that means, children, what is this triangle? This is a right angle triangle. So that's what we just found. It's a right angle triangle. Right. Good. Okay. So children, is this clear part A? Is there someone who didn't understand part A?
How many have got it correct?
Ah, yes. How many got it correct? We have 4 children. Okay. Good. Good, good, good. Okay. Right. Now, children, next part. This is the interesting one. Find the values of the marked letters on the diagram. So we have 4 letters A, B, C, and D. Children, can you all send me your answers, those who did it? Right. So Nimtaka says that A is, B is, C is 40, and D is... Nimtaka, your answers are correct. Yes. Okay. Good. Good, good, good. All right. What about the others? So children, send me your answers if you found them. Right. So children, I'll show you how to get them. Right. So the answers I saw so far are correct. Right. So we'll first find A. We'll go in alphabetical order. Right. So children, you can see that these two lines are parallel. Can you see? Both are facing north. So north and north are obviously parallel. So that means, children, you can see here we have 2 parallel lines and a transversal line cutting across them. Right? This line DE is a transversal line cutting across them. Right? So children, you know that the interior angles in parallel lines should add up to 180. So that means 70 plus A should be 180, children, isn't it? Right? So Nimtaka had sent me the correct explanation as well. 70 plus A should be 180, and the reason is interior angles. Right? The reason is interior angles. Then children, you get A is equal to 100. You get A is equal to 110 degrees. Got it? Right? Sir, can we call it an what is that?
Allied angle. Allied angles also correct, darling.
I
Correct,
haven't heard that.
children.
Okay.
Yeah, allied angles.
Right. So the I learned.
Another name for interior angles is allied angles.
Is that so? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I also learned something. So children, then there you go. Right? So that is how you get that. Okay. Then children, how do you find B? Who can tell me? Now I know you all can get the answer. Tell me the reason. How do we get B? How do we find B? Yes, children. Senulidua sent me her answer. Okay. Senulidua, B is not that. Check again.
How many have answered the question?
That's what. Tell me the reason. Tell me the reason. What is the reason? How do we get B? I know the answer. How do you get it? Now for A, the reason is interior angles. What is the reason for B?
Children, always keep it in your mind. 2 north lines are parallel. 2 north lines are parallel to each other. So when 2 lines are parallel, we know so many angles, right? So think, look at the diagram carefully and tell. How many have answered the question?
Yes, Sandali Dua sent the perfect answer. That is correct, Dua. Right? Very good.
Correct.
Yes, so Sandali Dua has been silent today, but she sent the correct answer. Right?
Correct
So,
answer.
children, you all can see that this angle and this angle, they form an Z shape. Right?
Yes.
They form an Z shape. So, therefore, B is going to be 30 degrees, and the reason is
Alternate.
alternate angles. Right? Good. Okay. Now, C. How do we find C? By now, you all should know how to find C. Hmm? How can I get C, children?
I think see they must have done Sadhu teacher because it's a simple thing.
Yes. So, yes. So, the answer is correct, right? So, A, yeah, A plus B plus C should be 180 because their angles, yes, it's on a straight line. So, it adds up to 180. That is correct. So, we know A is 110, right? We know that B is 30, right? And we need C. So once you subtract, you get C is equal to 40 degrees. That is correct, right? That is the answer. Good. Then, children, finally, D. How do you find D? Hmm? Yes, D is going to be 50. Why? Because angles in a triangle, right? So by now, you know that. So children, by now you all know that this total angle is 90 degrees. Then you know that this one is 40 degrees, right? So now all you have to find is D. So that means 90 plus 40 plus D should be 180. Reason is angles in a triangle, right? Angles in a triangle, right? Yes. And therefore, children, once you work that out, D comes as 50 degrees, right? So can we find it by extending the line, then consider as an alternate angle and solve them as supplementary angles? Yes. So you're saying extend D downwards, find the alternate angle to this one, which is going to be A. Yes, Dua, you can. So why would you go through all that trouble? Yes, you can. You can, right? So what Sandali Dua is saying is you can extend this line, right? And let me just get rid of this, right? And you can take alternate angles. So basically this is going to be equal to A, right? So wait, even then how are you going to get it? You
No,
still
Sadhu
can't find
teacher
it, children.
down extended thing will be 60. No, that's first.
Right, right.
That's
Again
the
you have
reason. It's
alternate angle.
60.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
then 60, then straight line 60 plus 70 you have to add and then subtract from 180 to get D.
Yeah. Can do it,
Yeah,
Dua.
children, you can do that way as well. That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
So whatever you find fastest, Dua, do that way. As long as it's correct.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So what you can see, you can do it. There's no
Yes.
issue, but it has to be the correct thing. That's what
Yes.
Sadhu teacher says. Yes.
Yes. Right? Okay. So that is how you do part B. Now, children, let's go to part C. Part C is calculate the distance of discovery from the wreck. Okay. How do you get that? How do we calculate it? Right. So I'm already getting answers 6.43 kilometers. Okay. Right. Interesting. Interesting. Right. Let's see. So children, there are two ways that you can work this out, right? So one thing you can do is, now we know the angles now. We know that D is, so instead of D and C, let me write these values. So D is 50 and C is 40, I think. Yes. So what can you do, children? Now you all know that, right? You all know that this we'll take this distance as simple D, and we'll take this distance as simple E, or we'll take it as X and Y, otherwise it might confuse you again, right? We'll say that this is X and this is Y. Okay, now part C is asking distance from the wreck to discovery, that means X. So children, you can work it out one of two ways, right? So you can work it out by work it out by taking sine or cos. So let's say you consider the angle 50 degrees, right? So if you consider the 50-degree angle, children, you can take cos. So cos 50 degrees is going to be x over 10, adjacent over hypotenuse. So x is going to be 10 cos 50. Children, I want all of you to type 10 cos 50 and check what the answer is. Or you can do it another way. You can take sine 40 degrees. Why? If you consider 40-degree angle as your angle in focus, x is going to be the opposite. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So x is equal to 10 sine 40. Children, take your calculators, try 10 cos 50 and 10 sine 40 and see whether you get the same answer. Check whether your answer is the same. All of you do it and see. Yes, you all are getting the same answer, right? Good. So either way, children, the answer for this 1 to 2 decimal places is 6.43 kilometers, right? That is the answer, right? So either of these two methods is correct, children. Okay, let's leave that aside. Now, similarly, to find y, that is part D, the distance of explorer from the wreck, you can use both methods again, children, right? So let's say you consider the 50-degree angle. This time you will take sine, right? So you take sine 50 is equal to y over 10. Y is equal to 10 sine 50 degrees. Children, take your calculators, try 10 sine 50 and see what the answer is, right? Let me also do it using the other angle and cos, right? So if you take cos 40 with the 40-degree angle, children, y is the adjacent, y over 10. So y is going to be 10 cos 40. Children, check for me whether 10 sine 50 and 10 cos 40 give you the same angle. Rebecca asks, can you do it using the Pythagoras theorem? Yes, I don't see what's wrong with that. No, Delana teacher.
Yes, can.
Once you have one of the other sides, you can, yes, you can find it. Right?
Yes.
But this
You
way
can
is
use.
more accurate, I think. No, because you're not taking any approximations. But yes, technically it's correct. Right? So anyway, children, the answer comes as 7.66 kilometers. That is the answer.
And Sanu teacher, that D angle we can find using interior or allied angles as well.
D.
D, yeah. The 50
Yes.
can
yes.
be found using 60 and 70.
You are
Addition of those two and subtract from 180, you get that.
You are correct.
So children, yeah, so many ways are there. So you can find angles. What you see, you can do it. There's no issue.
Right. Okay.